Hello everyone out there in St. Edward world. Just wanted to send another video. This one here is a little bit more instructional, kind of walking through things. It'll be longer than a minute. I'm sorry. But hopefully this helps. Didn't want to really do this in mass because it's a little mechanical, but I thought it was worthwhile to go into a little bit more of detail because there could be greater confusion now that our sanctuary looks different with our tabernacle in a different place. So first of all, just to make a difference between, which again, it might be really, really simplistic, but I think I'm just going to walk through things just to cut out any kind of doubt and make things more clear and maybe be a refresher. So if it's annoying, please forgive me. First things first, whenever we come before our Lord, we always have a genuflection, which means going down on one knee and bowing down before our Lord and our God. And I was always taught when I was a kid, when you go down on one knee, to actually say that in your heart, my Lord and my God. It also kind of gives you a flow to go with it, which is different than a bow. A bow is or reverence towards those things which are not divine, but which are symbols and things which help us to relate to the divine. For example, our altar. You'll notice that during Mass, when we begin Mass, before the sign of the cross, and after the last blessing, when we come down in front, we genuflect because we're giving our reverence and our worship to Jesus in the tabernacle. So we begin with a genuflection, and once we come up and we begin the Mass, all of the tension then comes to the altar. The altar is the center of attention during the Mass. This is where our Lord will come down, where the Lamb is sacrificed, where the Last Supper is relived, and we connect once again with all that means and all that Jesus has to offer us there. So the altar is the center of attention during the Mass, not the tabernacle. So that's why you might wonder, wow, gosh, when you cross through the tabernacle, you don't genuflect like you normally would, but you actually bow to the altar because during Mass, this is where the action's at. So that's the first thing. Then from there, there are some other practical things to consider if you're coming up as an altar server or as an extraordinary minister of the Eucharist, because the center of attention at Mass is the altar and what's going on at the altar. Then also the Jesus Christ is priest, victim, and altar. So all of that is wrapped into things we should be thinking about, and just to have that clear so that we don't lose pieces of all the different things that the Mass brings us. With that, when you're coming up onto the sanctuary to help as an extraordinary minister, if you're here as an altar server, and you're crossing from one side to the other, again, the center of the attention is the altar, and there's just a reverence to the altar, as the proper liturgical language to draw attention to what should be drawn most attention to. The only time it will genuflect before the tabernacle during Mass would be when we actually open up the tabernacle. Should we need to get the Blessed Sacrament from the tabernacle, or when we place the Blessed Sacrament back into the tabernacle. At that precise moment, since the sacrifice has been completed on the altar and that is finished and we're bringing Jesus back to repose, to rest, to stay in the tabernacle, at that time you may have noticed already at Mass, I will also turn, if the deacon is the one bringing the ciborium back to the tabernacle, we'll all turn and we'll give that attention, we'll genuflect together as a sign of putting Jesus back into the tabernacle and remembering that he came down on the altar, but he stays with us here. So hopefully that clarifies some things. Once Jesus is reposed in the tabernacle, everyone can have a seat. We don't have to wait. There's not an extension of time because the deacon is taking the Eucharist back to the tabernacle. The shorter distance also kind of cuts down on a little bit of that confusion. So as soon as Jesus is put back into the tabernacle or put into the tabernacle after Mass or after communion, everyone can sit. So that's also our sign to sit down. I might give you this gesture just to help remind you, but hopefully we all learn that without having to be instructed throughout every Mass. So that's a little bit about genuflection and bows and why we do things and how to handle that if you're a minister or if you're an altar server or if you're someone who's participating fully with their heart, mind, and soul right there in your own pew. A little bit of a history and the beauty of what we've done here. This tabernacle actually is not the tabernacle from St. Edward. This is one that we have borrowed because we're having our tabernacle cleaned, and it took a little bit longer than what we expected, so we will eventually get that back. The tabernacle that's coming back is part of the original the tabernacle from previous St. Edward church buildings. So it's also part of our history there, and I hope to share maybe on a future Facebook post a little bit more of that history. But that's beautiful that we actually are carrying that on, even though our church structure changes as we go through the years. We have certain pieces that we're able to bring along with us, which is a great way to show that continuity of this faith community, which has been here for over 125 years now. So also our sanctuary lamp is also part of that historical pieces that come from there. You'll notice that the steps that we've made for the little platform here, obviously it raises it up so that it's at a proper height, so that's just practical. But the table that was made for the tabernacle, which is the same one that it was sitting on prior to, we're using the same one because it fits with all the rest of the architecture and the liturgical furniture, for lack of a better word for that. The coloring, the type of wood, all of that was made possible through a couple of our parishioners. The original here was, and the platform is helped to be made by Mr. Frank Knoop. So a thank you to him. And also Danny Wiseman helped out with some drawings and different aspects of putting this together. So also a big thanks to him. And I think it's harmonious. I think they've done a great job. They've kept it simple, but at the same time beautiful, the right coloring, the right wood. So all that goes into that, to what we have to offer now. And it may seem a little crazy to carry on about all these different little details, but all that's part of our human life and the way that we connect our human life to God. We're full of details, we're full of history, we're full of different things to think about, and not just one thing or the other thing is sufficient, but we all kind of have to meld all that in together to help complete the fullness of what we're celebrating. So in no way do I want to lose all those details and all those aspects that are part of our liturgy, the different ways in which we also physically respond to what's up here, and how that helps us to think about the different things that are part of our liturgy, and not to have the awesome reality that Jesus is personally really present in the Eucharist right here in our tabernacle, not to have that make us forget about all the other aspects, but at the same time, obviously, for that presence to be completely remembered. Last note, as you come into the church, you may have had habits already, almost automatic, to turn towards where the tabernacle used to be. So now as you come in, if you haven't thought about it, now's a great time to renew that act of faith that goes along with the genuflection when you come into church and when you leave church. There should always be, just like when we go into anyone's house, anytime we open up the door of the tabernacle, we genuflect before, and once we put Jesus back into the tabernacle, we genuflect after. Just like when you come to someone's house or leave someone's house, there's always a greeting. You normally knock at the door before you come in, and if you don't, when you open up the door, you're like, "Hey, it's me." There's always a greeting. That's just normal way that we share with each other. So Jesus is a human being as well as being our God. So that's also part of that greeting that comes along with it. There's a worshiping aspect of kneeling, of falling to our knee, of genuflecting. There's also that just joyful salutation, that sort of joyful greeting that we have with Jesus as well. My Lord and my God, and hey, Jesus, how's it going today? It's great to see you. So hopefully that helps out and doesn't confuse, but helps to see the different things that are there as part of our liturgy, and kind of closes out a little bit some of the questions that might be there. God bless you all. Have a wonderful week.